Hey, what is going on? Carter here. Have another video for you and another very cool knife to show you. This is the Brian Tai Tighe Breaker. It is a custom knife. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. From Brian Tai, he is a Canadian knife maker. Been around a while, very well respected, has some really nice, beautiful designs. You can kind of see that he tends to sway towards the organic, kind of flowing, smooth, clean type work. So basically the opposite of what is really popular right now, which is kind of the big, chunky, blocky, worn, post-apocalyptic, beat to hell kind of look that is so popular right now. Brian Tai really kind of goes the other direction, which makes this knife all the more appealing to me and kind of startling to the eye, I guess you would say. It's so different than a lot of the stuff you're seeing out there right now. But anyways, moving forward, this is the Tighe Breaker. I believe I mentioned this particular model. It has a 4-inch blade. It also comes in a 3.5-inch blade. You can see right there, I believe the steel is BG42. Is that what he's using? I believe it's BG42. Don't quote me, I could be wrong. It's kind of a polished satin. It's not quite mirror polished. You can still kind of see the grind lines a little, but it's definitely more polished than satin. You can see me hiding behind my camera right there. You've got sculpting, carving, milling, whatever you want to call it, in the spine of the blade. You can see his signature right here, Brian Tai. Dual thumb studs. Same thing on this side. Fairly thick stock, but nothing too crazy. Really like that blade shape. That's what drew me to this knife. Love that blade. Absolutely gorgeous. Razor sharp too. It is a flipper, as you saw. Flips quite nicely. Button lock, which is what Brian Tai prefers to do nowadays. He used to do liner locks and frame locks. But now he pretty much exclusively does the button lock, and I'll talk more about that here in a second. Let's take a look at the sculpting that we have on the handles here. He does, most of his work is machined, CNC machined and the like. So he does a lot of really intricate, clean, swooping patterns that you can see right there. 2 finishes, satin flats, blasted, non-flats, blasted, and then the flats are satined. You can see how thick the slabs are, but because of all of the carving and the sculpting, very, very light scales, and they actually feel very, very thin in the hand. You can see all the finger choils, quite comfortable. It is pretty thin though. It's a lot thinner than what I typically carry. Perfectly centered. Tip up carry. He does a lot of tip down carry, but lately I've been seeing a lot of tip up stuff coming through, so I decided to go ahead and jump on this because of that. I did used to own a Tycoon button lock, which I really liked. That was tip down carry, and I just never couldn't love it because of the tip down. I know it sounds stupid, but for some reason at the time I couldn't handle it, so I sold it. But then again, I sell pretty much everything, which you guys know. Flips very nice. However, it is a little bit of a different ball game when you're dealing with a button lock. The detent is not quite the same. There's not the, with a standard detent, with a liner lock or a frame lock, you kind of get that hard starting point, and then once you get past it, you're done. With a button lock, it's a lot more of a ramped up feeling. There's a couple different stages to the lock. You can see kind of sucks in right there, and then it sucks in even more, which is why it's all the more important to make sure that it's very, very smooth when you're doing a flipper with a button lock, because if it doesn't just fly open and it's super smooth, then you can run into problems when you're trying to implement a flipper on a button lock, if that makes any sense at all. Because when you're doing a flipper, you kind of need that detent to build up that pressure so that once you get past the detent, it flies open. but it's a little harder to get that same effect with a button lock. This does have a bearing system. I believe it's a proprietary bearing system that Brian Tai uses. I don't think it's IKBS, but it's similar. Very cool. Let's get a weight on this because it is super light, super light. Believe it's under 4 ounces exactly is what I'm coming in at. 4.1 now. So very, very light for a knife with a 4-inch blade. Very cool. I definitely recommend checking Brian Tai out. Like I said, he's kind of doing things that are somewhat against the grain, or at least in the kind of fanboy popular section of custom knives. So because of that, his stuff isn't that hard to get. I believe you can order directly from him, and I don't think the turnaround's all that long. Plus, his stuff will show up to dealers quite regularly. He does a lot of stuff with Damascus, Damascus, all kinds of stuff, multiple models, so definitely check him out. He does some really cool stuff, very beautiful stuff. Alright guys, that's it. Quick look at my tie breaker. Later.